Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is October 20th, 2023, and we are in the Old Testament. We're in the book of First Kings, and we're going to read chapter 13 today. All right, so our once proud and mighty united kingdom of Israel has been split into two. Solomon's son Rehoboam is now king over the south, which is mainly the tribe of Judah, and that's what it's going to be called from now on, is Judah, the kingdom of Judah. At a line roughly that goes a little bit north of Jerusalem. From there above, we have the kingdom of Israel, which represents the 10 other tribes, with the Levites kind of being the neutral priests, I guess, involved in here. And that kingdom is now under Jeroboam. God promised Jeroboam, hey, if you stick with me and you're obedient to me, the same deal I've offered to David, same deal I offered to Solomon, same deal that Rehoboam had. You're loyal to me, you're obedient to me, you take no other gods before me, and you'll stay king, and I'll bless your descendants after that. And we saw that Jeroboam almost instantly throws that out the window. He creates his own idols, he creates his own worship system, he creates his own feast system. He essentially turns his back on God as soon as he can. And now we're going to see the judgment on him because God sends a prophet. And a few things are going to start happening here. King starts becoming, here's the king of Israel, and then here's what the king of Judah did, and then here's what the next king of Israel did and Judah did. So we're going to start jumping back and forth between the kings to see. Now, Jeroboam is going to become our yardstick for evil, false, lousy, terrible, no good kings of Israel, of which Israel just continues to have a succession of them until they get to the point in about 365 years from where we are now that God sends them to exile. Judah fares a little bit better. They kind of have a bad king, and then they get a good king for a little while, but then they get a bad king, and then they get a worse king, and then they get a little bit better king, but then they get a worse. So there's kind of a staggering on their side, but they are headed to exile as well. They just hold out a little bit longer. We're also going to see prophets start to come and more towards the front and more towards the drivers in this narrative. And we've seen prophets before, but now we're seeing prophets in their element and exactly what a prophet is supposed to do, which is go speak truth to power, essentially. To go to the person in charge and say, hey, you know what? You had a covenant with God and you broke it. And the punishment for that, God told you what it's going to be. And if you don't turn around now, that's the punishment you're going to get. Again, prophets aren't going to people and telling them they're getting new cars and new jobs. They have a purpose, and their purpose is pointing towards God and pointing people back towards God and pointing towards the glory of God. And we see exactly what prophets do, that it's specific. They're pointing at things and saying, this is what's going to happen, and it's going to happen right now, and it happens right now. They're not coming up and saying, oh, let's see, God has given me something. It's for somebody. I don't know who it's for. It has something to do with an anchor, an anvil. Maybe it's an altar. Oh, wait, Jeroboam says that's him. Okay, yeah, this is your prophecy. Specific. They come out, he points right at that altar and says that altar is going to be destroyed, and because you brought it here, Jeroboam, you're going to be destroyed. Specificity, something that can be proven. That tells you this is maybe a prophet from God, because he isn't giving you vague things that can't be shown and proven or shown true. He's saying this is what's going to happen. God told me this is what's going to happen. If you don't do this, God is going to show me this is going to happen if you do this. And that's what happens when that person makes that choice. We see this idea that, okay, there's an immediate fulfilling of that prophecy, because the altar is destroyed as soon as the pronouncement is made. But the actual, what we would think of it from our perspective, that this prophecy is actually fulfilled, again, comes 365 years later, when they're sent into exile and the kingdom is destroyed. We're going to see a lot of that. Most of the prophecies in our Old Testament, they're going to have that immediate component that occurs for the people of that generation, but most of them we think are pointing to Jesus. So there's that fulfillment later on, and then some that point even beyond Jesus to the end of the age and the coming of the new creation. So we're starting to see that idea of a of a prophecy that is going to have multiple fulfillments to various degrees. We see an old prophet. What is an old prophet? Well, the Bible doesn't necessarily tell us who he is, but we kind of should get the feeling from here that, okay, he used to be a prophet from God, and now, God was, withdrawn himself from that person for some reason. Yeah. Maybe it was because he liked to throw in a little false prophecies here and there. Maybe, he just wasn't someone that someone would come to for advice. I don't know. We have to figure it out. But this prophet meets the man who just prophesied destruction to Jeroboam, and God put that prophet under strict orders. Hey, say your prophecy and get out and leave. Don't stick around, because if you stick around and Jeroboam actually has dinner with you, then it looks like he's not going to be punished. So that's part of get out. And this older prophet intercepts Jeroboam and says, hey, you know what? God told me you should come and, well, actually he doesn't say God told me. He says, I've received a word that you should come to me, which should have been that first prophet's indicator something's wrong. Okay. And it should have at least been that prophet to say, okay, wait a minute, God told me to go, and now this person I don't know is telling me God said I should stay, but the last thing I heard from God was go. So let me at least try and get on my knees and pray and say, hey, God, clear this up for me. But our first prophet doesn't do that. He goes back, and it proves to be his destruction. So, hey, you go out and prophesy something against the king that he's going to be destroyed, and then you also do not follow the Lord. Well, you're going to be punished as well. So that's what we see there. And then we do see that God uses that old prophet again to pass the judgment. So, God can use anyone he wants to prophecy. At that point in the story, the damage is kind of done, and I think that old prophet kind of understands that, because he goes out and he takes the first prophet's body back and buries it himself, trying to give him a little bit of honor that was taken away from him at his own fault. At least that's the way I think about it, and you're free to think about it however you want. So let's go ahead and we're going to read 1 Kings chapter 13. And behold, a man of God went from Judah to Bethel by the word of the Lord, and Jeroboam stood by the altar to burn incense. Then he cried out against the altar by the word of the Lord, and said, O altar, altar, thus says the Lord, behold, a child, Hosea by name, shall be born to the house of David. On you he shall sacrifice the priests of the high places who burn incense on you, and men's bones shall be burned on you. And he gave a sign the same day, saying, This is the sign which the Lord has spoken. Surely the altar will split apart, and the ashes on it shall be poured out. So it came to pass, when King Jeroboam heard the saying of the man of God, who cried out against the altar in Bethel, that he stretched out his hand from the altar, saying, Arrest him! Then his hand, which he stretched out toward him, withered, so that he could not pull it back to himself. The altar also was split apart, and the ashes poured out from the altar, according to the sign which the man of God had given by the word of the Lord. Then the king answered and said to the man of God, Please entreat the favor of the Lord your God, and pray for me that my hand may be restored to me. So the man of God entreated the Lord, and the king's hand was restored to him and became as before. Then the king said to the man of God, Come home with me and refresh yourself, and I will give you a reward. But the man of God said to the king, If you were to give me half your house, I would not go in with you, nor would I eat bread nor drink water in this place. For so it was commanded me by the word of the Lord, saying, You shall not eat bread nor drink water, nor return by the same way you came. And so he went another way, and did not return by the way he came to Bethel. Now an old prophet dwelt in Bethel, and his sons came and told him all the works that the man of God had done that day in Bethel. And they also told their father the words which he had spoken to the king. And their father said to them, Which way did he go? For his sons had seen which way the man of God went, who came from Judah. Then he said to his son, Saddle the donkey for me. So they saddled the donkey for him, and he rode on it, and went after the man of God, and found him sitting under the oak. Then he said to him, Are you the man of God who came from Judah? And he said, I am. Then he said to him, Come home with me and eat bread. And he said, I cannot return with you, nor go in with you, neither can I eat bread nor drink water with you in this place. For I have been told by the word of the Lord, You shall not eat bread nor drink water there, nor return by going the way you came. And he said to him, I too am a prophet, as are you. And an angel spoke to me by the word of the Lord, saying, Bring him back with you to your house, that he may eat bread and drink water. He was lying to him. So he went back with him, and he ate bread in his house and drank water. Now it happened as they sat at the table that the word of the Lord came to the prophet who had brought him back. And he cried out to the man of God who came from Judah, saying, Thus says the Lord, because you have disobeyed the word of the Lord, and have not kept the commandment which the Lord your God commanded you, but you came back, ate bread, and drank water in the place which the Lord said to you, Eat no bread and drink no water, your corpse shall not come to the tomb of your fathers. So it was, after he had eaten bread and after he had drunk, that he saddled the donkey for him, the prophet whom he had brought back. When he was gone, a lion met him on the road and killed him. And his corpse was thrown on the road, and the donkey stood by it. The lion also stood by the corpse. And there men passed by and saw the corpse thrown on the road, and the lion standing by the corpse. Then they went and told it in the city where the old prophet dwelt. Now when the prophet who had brought him back from the way heard it, he said, It is the man of God who was disobedient to the word of the Lord. Therefore the Lord has delivered him to the lion, which has torn him and killed him, according to the word of the Lord which he spoke to him. And he spoke to his son, saying, Saddle the donkey for me. So they saddled it. Then he went and found his corpse thrown on the road, and the donkey and the lion standing by the corpse. The lion had not eaten the corpse, nor torn the donkey. And the prophet took up the corpse of the man of God, laid it on the donkey, and brought it back. So the old prophet came to the city to mourn and to bury him. And he laid the corpse on his own tomb, and they mourned over him, saying, Alas, my brother, so it was, after he had buried him, that he spoke to his son, saying, When I am dead, then bury me in the tomb where the man of God is buried. Lay my bones beside his bones. For the saying which he cried out by the word of the Lord against the altar in Bethel, and against all the shrines on the high places which are in the cities of Samaria, will surely come to pass. After this event, Jeroboam did not turn from his evil way, but again he made priests from every class of people for the high places. Whoever wished, he consecrated him, and he became one of the priests of the high places. And this thing was the sin of the house of Jeroboam, so as to exterminate and destroy it from the face of the earth. May God bless the reading of his word. May God bless you. Bye.